Alright, here's a leveling trick you might like. I have two tasks, both are 1 week, both have 32 hours, and there's an overlap here on Friday. And if I add a resource here, we know that there is an over allocation. Just have a look. The Burning Man is here, and we have an issue. But how would we solve this? Should we solve it? Because there's not an over allocation on a weekly basis, right? It's just 32 hours. He can fix this. So, resource leveling options, and here we have the look for over allocations on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to change that to a week-by-week basis, and all of a sudden, boom, gone is the red men, and you're not freaking out anymore because of all those red men, because of one single day that has the issue. And I can even show you that in a resource graph here. Resource graph, and if I click on Eric, this is the day that actually triggered that red man. But because there's no over allocation for Eric on a weekly basis, it's not showing up. Great. Stick around for more, because we're going to cover the resource leveling menu today. Sure, resource leveling is a daunting thing, and I've briefly mentioned that in a previous video. Let's have a closer look at each one of these values here. And I'm trying not to bore you, so keep in mind I'm doing the best I can for a very boring, very tough topic to cover. First off, we have the leveling calculations, and we briefly saw this beauty of an option here where you can set the over allocations to look at a day-to-day basis, which is the default, or you can even look at a week-by-week basis. If you're not interested in the high level of detail, this is your key solution here. There is also an option to set leveling calculations to be automatic. Now that will freak out every project manager that ever works with your schedule, because every change that he or she does, will automatically trigger a resource leveling change. And that could change some things that you're not expecting to see. So clear leveling values before leveling. Yes, this will clear the leveling that you previously done. So that is good to know. Then there's the option to set the leveling on an entire project, or just level a certain point in time. So if you're curious to see if you can level this month, then it would be wise to set only the leveling to this month, and it will level nothing outside of that scope. So leveling on a month-by-month basis might actually make sense if you are working with a very big schedule and you're just focusing on that single month ahead. I'll set it to level entire project, and then we have the resolution allocation options, and this is where the key changes happen with how leveling works. So the leveling order is standard, but it can also be done on the ID only, and then it will work with the ID that is on the left side of the Gantt chart. Then there's the priority and standard, and I'm going to show you that in a minute what priority actually means. And then there's the options that are in here, and I'm going to briefly touch most of them in my following examples. So let's start off with getting something in the priority and the standard solution. What is priority? Alright, I made a simple example. I have 5 tasks done by Eric, all full-time commitments, all starting at the same time. So there is an over allocation, yes. Now without changing any other item within this leveling menu, I will change the leveling order so that it says priority and standard. I'm not going to change anything else, but I'm going to click on level all. What will happen? So without changing anything else, this is now the new schedule. With this schedule, I don't have an over allocation. I work on a week-by-week basis, on a day-by-day basis, and I have my allocations triggered. Now the project takes me 5 weeks. There is no dependency between the tasks here. Be wary of that. There is no dependency between these tasks. Now let's click on clear leveling, because I want to share what the option actually does for the rest, where we currently have this over allocation here, and we have a column called priority, and you can find that easily by inserting a column and clicking on priority, and there it will be. So priority is standardly set to 500, and it can be set from 1 till 1,000. And what 1,000 means is 1,000 means that this task will not be touched by resource leveling. So let's do that for task number 3. Let's say for me, task number 3 is the most important thing, and I need to have that done as fast as possible. Then we can change other tasks as well. We can say, okay, well, this is the normal dependency, and this is less important, and this is a bit more important, and this one is very important. So what I expect to see is having the over allocation resolved, that task number 3 will be done the fastest, then task number 5, task number 4, task number 1, and task number 2 the latest. Let's see if my theory holds true, where again I'm in the resource leveling options, and I have a day-to-day, and it's set to manually, and I have it set to priority and standard. I haven't changed any of these values, and let's click on level all. So there you go. My theory holds true, where first we start with task number 3, then tasks 5, 4, 1, and 2 the latest. So the difference here was that I changed the priority, and the priority was taken into account together with the ID numbers. So that is basically what priority does. Now, in a multiple schedule master project file, you can even set the priority of the project to higher or lower, where you would go into project information and you would have the option to set the priority higher or lower. So in a master project situation, you're even covered by setting the most important project being allocated first compared to projects that are less important at that point in time. So let's click on resource, clear leveling, and let's head back to our leveling options to see what the next thing is that I want to cover here. So we've mentioned priority. Let's have a look at the level only within available Slack solution. So this is actually pretty straightforward. Level only within available Slack takes into account the end date of your project, and currently that is the 23rd of August. So if I click on level only within available Slack here, it will take that date into account and see if it can move any of these tasks to go outside of an over allocation. Now, logically wise, I can already see that it will have issues, because every task takes a week. Every task starts from the first day and finishes on the finish date of the project itself. So having a very easy example, level only within available Slack, I'll click on level all, and it will present this error message. Project cannot resolve the over allocation of Eric on the 19th of 8. To continue, blah blah blah, to continue and skip over allocation that cannot be resolved, click on skip all. I'll click on skip all, and nothing has been resolved because the end date of the project actually is the same end date for every task. So let's click on clear leveling, and I'm going to change just a single thing here. I'm going to set another task here, task number 6, and I'm going to let that be a task that takes more time. I'm going to set that to the 6th of September, and let's not make it a task, but let's make it a milestone. And I'm going to set that to to the end of that week, so I'll actually set that to the Saturday. I'll make it a work day. Sure. No, I'm not going to make it a work day. So now I have this task which doesn't have an allocation, but I have some way of doing over allocation resolution here. So I'll click on resource leveling options, and I have level only within available slack. And let's see how it now solves this, because it's still going to look at priority, and it's still going to fix the task 3, I believe. So let's see. And it says, well, I cannot skip everything, but it changed the date here. So let's see if I click on skip once. It's doing a calculation. There is some work being done. It starts not responding, which is not all that strange. It's looking at every day, and it's looking at how we can resolve this situation here for Eric. And it's taking a lot of time here for not that big of a schedule. So let's speed this up a bit. Alright, so that was a big downer. Project actually crashed on a very simple schedule when there was a level only within available slack that it could not resolve. Now in actual schedules with multiple paths, it might be another situation. I've seen happening multiple times that it did work, but this specific case it couldn't resolve. So this video is already taking up considerable time from your day-to-day schedule, and I don't want to take up much more of your time. So there's only one thing that I want to share with you now, and that is basically the leveling can create splits in remaining work. Now, this is a very interesting one where you can create splits in work packages, and tasks are basically work packages. So let's see what happens when I deselect this, and I also have the remaining slack thingy deselected because I'm pretty sure that won't do anything good for me at this point in time. So let's click on leveling all and let's see what happens. Alright, so why did it move the whole first task? Why did that happen? Well, remember I said something about priority? The second task is set to 1000, and I set the other option that it didn't allow to split up additional tasks. So it tried to maneuver that one task before, but it couldn't, so it does it afterwards. So that's good. So let's click on resource and clear leveling, and we'll return to our basic situation, and let me share the opposite solution that we have in the leveling options, and that is leveling can split tasks in remaining work. So let's click on level all, and now you see that it split up the first task into separate entities. Now some work can be split, some work can't be split, but what we see here is that the lag time or the duration of the project is considerably less than it was when I did the split, or when I deselected that split. So you might want to consider this option if you have packages that can be left alone for a bit of time and a person can jump onto that task afterwards. Now, for bigger tasks, don't level this task. Task is 1 week. For bigger tasks that are in between, you might have the difficulty of people needing to ramp up again to start working on that task again because they were they have left it for a number of weeks or days or months, and they need to get back to that task. It might take them more time than you initially thought because they need to ramp up that information again. So that was it for me. I had enough for now for resource leveling. It is a very tough topic. It's a very tough topic to explain. But I hope you liked this. If you did, click that like button
and consider subscribing. I'll do more of these kinds of videos, as well as reporting videos, which are considerably more popular than my resource leveling videos. But stick around. Every other Wednesday, I'm on the air again with a new video. Thank you and goodbye.